everyone, I'm Bonita from Pennies to Dollars. And when I started this channel about 2 years ago, I planned on sharing some of my frugal upbringing with you. My parents were born during the Great Depression, and they influenced me very much on the way that we were raised in the 70s. So I thought I would share a little bit of that today with you. Some of you that listen also have some of the same similar memories, and so it's fun to reminisce about some of this, but I think there is so much to be learned from the way that we were raised. We were taught to appreciate things so much back then. In fact, the few things that we had were so special to us. I wanted to share a couple of the dolls that I had growing up. Yes, I still have them, and I am 57 years old. So this is my Dawn doll. If you can see her, she is a miniature Barbie doll. This is the original outfit that she came with. I also have other clothes that she wears. As you can see, her hair isn't ratty, nothing. And so I had her, and I still have her, and she still works. She's not broken. She's a little stiffer than she used to be, just like the rest of us, but I absolutely love this doll, and I kept her. She was the only Barbie doll I ever had, and as you can see how miniature she is. I also had a Sleeping Beauty doll, and this is her original outfit as well, if you can see her. And she came with a little pink baby bed, which has since fallen apart, but I still have these, and I just think they're so precious, and I'm so glad that I've been able to keep track of them all of these years. When we grew up, things like this were precious to us. We didn't get a lot of toys, and so the things that we did get, we took care of, and we shared a lot of things. When we grew up, we had a game cabinet that we called it, and we had like Monopoly, we had Battleship, we had Scrabble, Chinese checkers, and then my absolute favorite was Spirograph. And the Spirograph was mine. The other things belonged to my brothers. We all shared them. We made sure our pieces were all back in the box, and we kept them in the cabinet so that we could use them. And we played lots and lots of card games. We played card games like Rummy. We played Heck with Your Neighbor, which is the equivalent kind of to Uno, only we played it with regular cards. Let me know if you remember any of those, or if you have any special memories of things like that from your childhood. I got my first stereo when I was a freshman in high school. We didn't have a radio up until then. My older brother had a transistor radio that we would listen to sometimes, and he had batteries for that. The little old-fashioned kind with the antenna that you would pull up and try to get reception out here in the middle of nowhere. And that was very special, and we treasured those things. I was the youngest, and because of that, I got to do some special things that my brothers did not get to do. One of those things was I got to play in band, and I got to play the clarinet. And that was a huge deal. And I heard about that a lot as I got older, how I got to play in band and they didn't get to. Nowadays, I don't even think that they think band is cool. But when I was in high school, all the cool kids were in band. I was in a rural school. The whole school from kindergarten through 12th grade was under 300 people. And so if you were in band, you were also in basketball, you were also in volleyball, you were also in track. Everybody was in everything. We tried to be in as much stuff as we possibly could, because that meant we got to go to things and be around our friends. Otherwise, we were at home in the country during the summers and we didn't get to see anybody. And at the end of the school day, we came home and we didn't get to see anybody. So if we stayed involved in these activities, we would get to see our friends outside of hours. I lived 7 miles from where I went to school, and I didn't see anybody that entire summer because of those 7 miles. We didn't take those trips so easily. We didn't just run around and use gas and do things like that just because we felt like it. We worked in the farm all summer, so time was very, very controlled. We had daylight until dusk. We were in the farm during harvest, during hay season, and so there wouldn't have been time for that anyway. And then when we were at home, I played outside so much. My animals were my best friends, and I played fort, and I played school, and I had meetings, and I played camp, all with my animals. I was the only girl in my family, so hand-me-downs came from the neighbor. They had several girls, and I was lucky enough to get some of their special frilly dresses that we normally would not have had. My mom made all of our clothes, and many times my dad and my brother's shirts would match the same fabric of hers and my dresses. We would wear these matching outfits when we would take vacations. And yes, even though we were frugal, we still took vacations. My dad would want to take 2 road trips per summer. We didn't stop and do a lot of things, but we would see the beautiful country, as he said, out the windows, and we would stop to camp late and start again in the morning. He always wanted us to make about 500 miles a day on these trips, and we would be gone maybe about 5 days and go through several states and then return home to the farm. We washed our hair once a week, and it went up in curlers on Saturday. That was usually a couple of hours that I would sit on the chair with Mom tugging and pulling at my hair and putting it in curlers. We shared bath water, as I've told you before, and I was the youngest, so luckily I got to go first while it was hot and clean. We got a microwave and a telephone when I was in high school, which were a huge thing. My mom would always say, don't stand too close to the microwave, you won't be able to have children. Don't sit too close to the TV, you won't be able to have children. Well, I ended up having 6 children. So I don't know if there was any truth to that, but there might have been, because she pulled me away from those objects every time. I thought it was so interesting to watch the microwave, but I wasn't allowed to stand next to it. My mom made my promotion dress for 8th grade, my prom dress, and my high school graduation dress were the same dress, and she made those as well. My hair was expected to be long. Girls wore long hair in my family, and I didn't get my first haircut until I was old enough to pay for it myself sometime in high school. Choir required long evening gowns when I was in high school. My mom also made those, and like I said, many of those were the same gowns that I would wear for choir, that I also wore for prom, that I also wore for promotion, that I also wore for graduation. We didn't go out and buy new dresses, even though a lot of my classmates would go out and spend a lot of money on a dress. Mine were always homemade. And in high school, I learned to type. We had electric typewriters my freshman year and manual typewriters, and halfway through the year, we would switch. We had the old-fashioned manual typewriters that you would type on and throw the carriage after every single line. Let me know if you remember those. My mom actually wrote a small little community portion for the newspaper, for 2 different newspapers in our area. She got a very small amount of money per month to do that, and she typed everything on a manual typewriter to send that in. So I hope you've enjoyed some of these memories that I have. These are from the 70s, when I grew up with Depression era parents as the main influence. Please share in the comments below if you have some memories from this era. I'm sure we would all love to read through them. And if you haven't picked up my Depression era cookbook yet, 50 Frugal Recipes When Cooking on a Budget, that is also on Amazon, and I'll leave the link in the description box if you are interested. Many of these recipes are things that I grew up with them in our household on holidays and as normal foods in our house. Some of them I've added to them over the years, so some of them are late 1900s from when I raised my children. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching today.